purpose, and embrace the power that comes with age. Co-hosted by yours truly, Coach Wayne.
And I'm Coach Stacy M. Lewis. And we're two seasoned coaches focused on the midlife community of color. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. In a world that sometimes forgets the power and the wisdom that comes with age, we're here to ignite a revolution and rewrite the narrative of this incredible journey.
So, whether you're navigating career shifts, rediscovering passions, or challenging the status quo, this is your space. So buckle up. Let's dive into the midlife revolution.
Hey, everyone. I think, Sir Wayne, we have to make sure that our technology is doing what we hope it is going to do. So as I'm looking on LinkedIn, I don't necessarily see that we are live, but now we are. So welcome everyone to the Midlife Revolution. I'm Stacy and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Mr. Wayne Dawson. And we are just so excited to have you here. We are looking to be your guides on this transformative journey through midlife.
Hey, Stacy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Stacy.
I was just going to, say a little bit about me. I happen to be, some of you may know me as the Chief Program Officer and the Deputy Chief Executive at Young Survival Coalition, a nonprofit focused on young women breast cancer. You might also know me as a coach, and on both sides of my career, I've been in the trenches, really working alongside women as they dismantle years of self-doubt and look to magnify their worth and emerge triumphant. And here is my co-host, Mr. Wayne Dawson. We'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, Stacy, it's a Tuesday morning, and what a beautiful one it is. This is our inaugural podcast, Midlife Revolution. And as you mentioned, we are co-hosting this series because we believe that your second half should be your best half, not your better half, but your best half. And we have decided as seasoned coaches that we want to take the mystery out of second half living. A lot of folks have gotten into resigning, feeling that they go downhill after, say, 40 in midlife. But what we're about to do is help to shift that mindset and allow folks who are looking at midlife opportunities, careers, health, and every part of well-being in a different way than they had perhaps been seeing it before. So together, Stacy, I'm excited that we're going to be sharing with our listeners and viewers the thinking that midlife is in fact a second start, a new opportunity. So let's just go for the ride and have fun.
Well, let's make sure that we're also good hosts and hostesses as we welcome those that have at least shouted us out in LinkedIn. So welcome to Terrell and Janelle and Kelly. We're so excited that you're here. Welcome to Curtis. And so thank you so much for joining us and for supporting us. Thank you for showing us grace, as I'm sure there'll be a couple of little hiccups because we all know how this lovely technology world is. So, Mr. Wayne, tell us why midlife? Why are we here today?
Well, Stacy, as a coach, I certainly had to take a taste of my own medicine. And I recall going through what some folk call a crisis. Of course, doesn't have to be defined as such, but where I felt like I had to step outside of my former relationship to capture my youth, as it were. And so I'm being very transparent. Men typically, as they start getting older, they start worrying about losing their youth and youthfulness. They start wondering about being replaceable, dispensable at the job, in the career. They start thinking about how valuable they are. And, for the earlier part of our lives, we are chasing shiny objects, moving around, just planting flags, going for that vision of wealth and health and vigor. And then something
Mhm.
happens as we pass 35 and get into our midlife 40, about through the 50s, even 60s. We start recognizing that we're vulnerable. That in fact, some of the things that we wanted to do, if we haven't done it yet, it's probably for us in terms of the energy, a little bit too late. And that drives men into a state oftentimes of despair, of depression, of, let me give up, and or desperation. And so for myself, I sort of went through some of that and, disrupted my family before I learned and understood what it was to own my identity as not
Mm.
aging, but a saging man, and then took on a new lease altogether. So the change was not without, it was within. And so what I would like to do, Stacy, is to share this wisdom, these lived experience with other brothers, and of course, participate with you in the dialogue to share with women how we can turn that around.
Yeah, Wayne, that was so great. There, what I believe or what I've experienced as well, as a woman, is that it's been less of the crisis and more. I'm finding that those women that I work with and the women that I'm connected to are much more interested in self-actualization, in stepping into more of their authenticity. You use the word identity, right? In reconnecting with their identity now that they have, started their career or they're thriving in their career, but maybe looking at the rest of their life and saying, what's next, or what else is there, or they've raised their children or they didn't have children and they're still looking for that. I know that there's more for me. And so I think it is an interesting time, and we are finally in a place, I believe, where societally we're really starting to celebrate. We're seeing more and more. I turned 50, I turned 60, it's my 70th birthday online, and we want to celebrate that because that's where the wisdom is, that's where the resilience is, that's really where like really kicks into gear. And
Yeah.
so we are just so excited by this conversation and really want to hear from those of you that are listening, to see if it's resonating and really be a part of the conversation.
Yeah. Stacy, I want to share that at the end of the century, the last century, there was a thinking that life sort of wound up at around 50. The idea that people had life beyond was not something that we embraced as a culture, Western culture in particular. And so people started getting prepared for, like we said, resignation and retirement. So there was a sense of declination at that
Mm,
period. And
mhm.
we talk about the thinking. Freud, psychologist Freud, he talked about the lifespan through the eyes of the youth, childhood, and it ended pretty much there in terms of what that was. It wasn't until later on when we had people like Young and Erickson that talked about this.
Oh my. Well, it looks like there's technology. You got to love it. So, hopefully, those of you that are in the listening lounge, so to speak, can still hear me. We've lost my co host and partner, Wayne, but here we are still moving forward. So, one of the things, oh, I think he's trying to get back. We're just going to cheer him on and believe that technology will not get in the way. And yes, Sis Terrell, I totally agree with you. Oh, here comes Wayne. He is back. Not only do we love the tech, But to Coach T's comment, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, people are embracing their age, and that is what we're here to celebrate. Welcome back, Wayne. I tried to fill the gap while we lost you for a minute, but we're so happy you're back.
Yeah, thank you. I was saying that the thinking that we live an additional 30 or so years when we are at the space of 40 is new in this generation, in this period. And, in the West, aging was not revered as much as it is in other cultures, in other parts of the world. And so we must embrace that. And we must understand that we have the advantage of youth when we are at midlife because now we have stacked with us the relationships, the experience, the wisdom, the failures that has been feedback to direct us in terms of the way we ought to go, and our
Yes,
values change.
yes. Yes. And so the one nugget of kind of correction I would add is that you said in the West. I'm going to say um the natives in the West, right? When we think about being here in the US of A, and we know that those that were native to this land honored and revered their elders, right? They looked to the elders for wisdom. They looked to the elders for answers. And I think many times in the Black communities, we've done the same thing. We look to our elders for for those nuggets, even though we know it's probably going to come with some other stuff that we may not want, but we know that that's where the wisdom is. And so what we want to do is really encourage ourselves, right, towards resilience and toward just authentically acknowledging and celebrating our age, but also the price we had to pay to get here, right? None of us are here unscathed. And I'm sure that those in our listening audience can just think back even 5 years to what they've overcome, to what they've gone through. And to know one thing, in this stage of life is that what we used to see as failures in our 20s and 30s, we now know because we've coupled that with wisdom. We now know that those are the learnings, those are the things we learned. Those were our learning and growth opportunities that we now appreciate and celebrate. So I mean, I could just go on and on and on, but I really think it is a time to celebrate and to make sure that our community, both Wayne and I focus on people of color, and to make sure that our community feels that, if they're not where we are, if they are feeling that like, oh, I don't know, or, what next, or I'm in a crisis, that there's resources, that, we're here to serve really and to help people grow. And so, like I said, I could go on. You hit it, Wayne.
Yeah, well, it's for me, the work that I do with men of color is to help them firstly to understand that change, real change and transformation is around an identity shift. Because a lot of times we spend time looking at exterior motives for change. We look at
Mm-hmm.
changing our jobs, changing our careers. And those things are important, but we still don't find fulfillment and significance unless we start looking internally at as to who we are. And we have to become the person that we desire in the future, in the here and now. And when we have all the tools at midlife to do this, we're at an advantage, Stacy, to get ahead and to make a difference in the world by doing that personal transformation.
This is just so good. I'm feeling like a recipient, even though I'm part of the conversation, because the conversation around um, not only just celebrating, but really talking about things like self worth and finding peace and magnifying your worth and really connecting with who you are now and all of that experience that you have and how it shows up in your not only day-to-day interactions, but who you are personally and professionally. And so there's so much opportunity for folks to grow, right? To grow and to know. And I do believe that, you know, both you and I are believers, and just knowing that God has a destiny for each of us, and that our audience can be really fed and connected to more and more opportunities to live out their dreams, to live out their destiny. That it's an honor to really be here. It's an honor that folks have showed up to support us, and it's an honor to be put in this position to lead this conversation. It is a conversation. Wayne and I are just leaders in the conversation, but we need all of those in our community that can both share and glean to join us in the revolution.
Yeah. When we're on LinkedIn right now live and a few other
Mm-hmm.
platforms we'll be streaming with, and our audience are typically on these platforms for the purpose of business and career advice and linking and networking. And so I would say that when we talk about midlife, there has been when you think about the people who have achieved later on in life, in the book, uh, Think and Grow Rich,
Mm.
Napoleon Hill sets aside an entire area in that chapter where he talks about sexual transmutation. And so let me share what this is all about. He says that men typically find their greatest levels of achievement after the age of 40, when they have stopped sowing wild seeds, when they have
Oh,
settled in with
mm.
a significant partner focused on
Mhm.
one, and
Mhm.
they're using that energy that they would have been thwarting elsewhere to grow their creative ideas around business and entrepreneurship. So you get to your greatest strength, he says, and he has studied 300 or more for that book of some of the world's greatest achievers. And so the idea that at 40 you're going downhill is actually a myth. It's the birth, the renaissance, not the resignation of greatness and achievement.
That is so good, Wayne. It's the renaissance and not the resignation. What I also I mean, there was so much there. What was that word? What was it? Sexual
Sexual
transmutation?
transmutation.
Sexual transmutation.
Yes,
Hmm.
the act of taking that energy that we spend that distract us, you know, chasing sex, and sex doesn't always mean the idea of copulation. A lot of men, and I speak for men here, not that I'm their authority, but based on the research, and in fact a lot of the work that I do with men day to day, what happens is we spend time, we want to look good, we want to smell good, and we do this for the opposite sex or for the sex that we are attracting, so to speak.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so somewhere along the line, men typically wanted to go out and protect and provide, but they were not doing this necessarily for themselves. And oftentimes, this is parceled in terms of that sexual energy. And so, what he had discovered was that men got to their greatest self, their zenith, when they settled in and focused at that stage. And usually, this was the stage where a lot of brothers fell into crisis. But we can define that and redefine that. You know what I mean? It can be rebirth rather than crisis. So that's important, the way we think about it, and seek our greatness. It's our birthright.
I'm sorry. Did everybody hear that last part? It's our birthright. Our greatness. It's our birthright. That's right. That's what we're here for welcome, Sean. Yes, it is converting the principles, practices of sex drive into our goals is an important conversation for men. We're so good, we're hitting the nuggets. So, Wayne, here is one of the most amazing things. It is 11:20. We promised ourselves or told ourselves that we would try to have brief conversations, respecting everyone's time, and really just getting started with this premiere episode. So I think that you can all tell by the excitement that Wayne and I share that we could certainly go on and on. Yet we want to be very respectful of your time. So I would say one of today's takeaways is your greatness is your birthright. Another takeaway is it's time. It's time. It's not too late. It's time to live, to thrive, to grow, and to go. There's still work for you to do. If you're still alive, there's still work for you to do. So, Sir Wayne, is there anything you'd like to say before we close out here today?
Well, I want to thank all the folks who are supporting us. I see my brother from another mother, Sean Dove, in the house. He's visiting here in Southern Florida. And Sean, thanks for coming on here. We're probably later on when we decide to have guests. This is one brother, Stacy, that we're going to bring on. I want to thank Brother Curtis and certainly my good brother from Nigeria, Isaac, and all of the folks that are joining us on this handle. And I think we are also going live, Stacy, on X. So folks that are there, thank you. We're going to make sure that this happens. Stacy, I think that a takeaway for us at this stage is to have us pay forward. When you are in midlife, you're in a position to reach back and bring someone or ones with you. So find someone that you can mentor, support, and guide. It is the way to use the gift of life and longevity.
I could not agree with you more. And I would shout out to, the brothers and sisters that are in the community that joined us today. Thank you so much for your support, for the great comments. And to Wayne's point, invite a friend. Wayne and I plan on being here every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern, live. And you can catch those replays. Invite a friend, let's enlarge the community and deepen the conversation so that we can all grow and all elevate and all live into our greatness. So with that said, we want to thank you for being here and we want to invite you to join the revolution.
Stacy, how do we share with folks? Why don't we share how they get in touch with us as well?
Oh, surely. Clearly, y'all, Wayne has me on the back end technology piece, right? But make sure you connect with Coach Wayne. He is the VIP transformative living coach. And I am Stacy Lewis. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can connect with me by email. I'm so honored to be here. We will see you all next Tuesday, if not before, on these LinkedIn streets. At least we will connect with those of you on Facebook and those of you in X. Thank you so much for your support. Don't forget, subscribe, like, follow, all that good stuff. That's going to happen in the outro too.
And there you have it, folks. This week's episode of the Midlife Revolution. Hey, we truly appreciate you spending this time in this space with us. Join us next week at the same time as we dive into relevant topics and present solutions to spark new thinking and empower your midlife journey.
Don't forget, if today's episode resonated with you, share your thoughts and suggest topics in the comments. And of course, remember to subscribe, share, like, and hit that notification bell. You are the Midlife Revolution. I'm Coach Stacy, and I'm cheering you on.
And I'm Coach Wayne, and I'll see you at the top.